The original Aventador LP700-4 remains a spectacular-looking supercar, underpinned with a genuinely impressive push-rod suspended all-carbon chassis and a thumping 690 bhp naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12. No mistake, the Aventador is the proper Lamborghini for those who consider the Huracan merely an Audi R8 in Italian designer clothes. But for all the rebellious, hairy-chested tradition drawn from the Miura, Countach, Diablo and Murcielago, the Aventador has been accused of being somewhat dumbed down in the driving stakes. Sure, it was fast, noisy and bold. But also heavy, blunt and with a handling balance tipped more towards safety understeer than wide-knuckle thrills. The limited production SV version launched in 2015 proved that with a few dynamic tweaks and a little extra power there was potential in the Aventador to ruffle a few feathers in the supercar establishment, exactly as the brand has since its founding in 1963. By stripping out 50 kilograms, increasing the power from 690 bhp to 740 bhp, adding the controversial variable ratio EPAS Dynamic Steering and improving the car's aero, Lamborghini was able to get within a whisker of the Porsche 918 Spyder's Nürburgring lap time. Not bad for a car relying on good old-fashioned V12 grunt over hybrid gimmickry and with a list price about a third of Porsche's technical tour de force. Further evidence the S upgrades are more about handling than bottom-line stats comes when you browse the spec sheets. The 219 miles per hour top speed remains as before and the 0 to 62 miles per hour time is also identical to the LP700-4's at 2.9 seconds. It'll push past it to 125 miles per hour in 8.9 seconds from rest, while 0 to 186 miles per hour takes just 24.2 seconds. Be under no illusions. The Aventador S is a ferociously fast car and underlines quite how outrageous that V12 remains, even in this age of hybrid assistance. Forget any electrically assisted pretense of saving the planet while traveling at 200 miles per hour though, updated or not, the V12 still chucks out a suitably unapologetic 394 grams/km of CO2 while achieving just 16.7 miles per gallon on the official combined cycle. Prodigious straight-line speed and profligate fuel consumption are a given in a V12 Lamborghini, of course. What the four-wheel steering and other changes bring is vast scope for the engineers to tune it to be as keen to go round corners as it is make lots of noise about going fast and burning lots of fuel. As in other applications, the four-wheel steering can turn the wheels in opposite directions to effectively shorten the wheelbase for greater agility in low-speed corners while going the other way for high-speed stability. Meanwhile, the variable steering can go from 2.1 turns lock to 2.4, offering scope for front-end bite as well as relaxed cruising and good manners around town, where, let's face it, most Aventadors spend their time. For those who dare to go on track, 130% more downforce at 150 miles per hour from a new front bumper and splitter further emphasizes Lamborghini's efforts to improve the front-end grip, suggesting it's listened to the earlier criticisms. Does it all work though? In Strada though it's hesitant and long-winded in automatic and slow to respond to the paddles and manual. The conservative front-to-rear torque split of 40/60 also means little choice but tread carefully into the corner and then bide your time on the way out. In the wet, sport is much more exciting, sending up to 90% of the drive torque to the rear axle and letting you dial out mid-corner understeer on the throttle, the car rotating with commendable predictability considering the variances in steering lock, effective wheelbase length and rear wheel steering. In this mode the stability control is sufficiently lenient to demand assertive corrections in slippery conditions too. Cause it throws in brutal gear shifts you really don't want to be unleashing mid-corner for fear of destabilizing the car, and a more neutral torque split that'll send up to 80% to the rear axle. Perhaps more suited to a dry track, on the day the car understeered stubbornly before eventually sending drive to the front axle to pull the car out of the corner. Ego, for all the novelty value of the name, simply lets you mix and match your preferred settings for steering, powertrain and suspension from the above.